Michael B. Jordan announces some fun Creed spinoff projects. Jenna Ortega proves she's the it girl with a potential role in Beetlejuice 2. Is Jennifer Lawrence bringing back the silly sex comedy? An anonymous actor gives some pretty controversial Oscar opinions. And I competed in some Scream trivia. Welcome to the madness. Hello, everyone. Hello, Morgan. And welcome to another episode of Monday Madness with Morgan and the Machine. We are getting into some fun topics today. We are also getting into Scream 6, our spoiler review. I also got to compete in some fun Scream trivia last Friday. So all kinds of Scream stuff we're getting into. Our little tags also reference the new Scream movie.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do. Hello, everyone. How are we all today? I hope we're very good. What a surprise, Jeannine. We'll be talking about Scream and Scream 6. It's not like it's not the only thing we ever actually talk about on anything on the It's a Wonderful Podcast YouTube channel,
find a way.
Especially.
I'll find a way to always talk Scream.
But it's actually necessary to talk about it. The movie has just come out. Today is our big spoiler review of Scream. Do not fear. We will state quite clearly when that is coming up. It was, of course, the Oscars as well, last night, as of the air date of this show. We will have a separate Oscars reaction because we have to record this before Sunday.
Yes. So, also, you get the Oscars at 3 a.m. So
that is also
very
true.
difficult for you to kind of
yes.
So we have to kind of prearrange when we're going to talk about that.
But don't worry, we will be doing an Oscars reaction, our thoughts on all the winners and likes and dislikes and all that kind of stuff from the 95th Academy Awards.
Yes.
We will have a separate video discussion on that.
Yes,
and you will be able to find on the YouTube channel, the It's a Wonderful Podcast YouTube channel, of course.
And warning, I am in this room with 2 sleepy bulldogs. So if you hear panting or snoring, that is where that is coming from.
I'm sure people understand the fondness you have.
I tried to get them to leave, and they just looked at me like, no.
We're not moving anywhere. No. You idiot, is what they said.
Essentially, yes, they said it with their eyes. But yes, we have a lot of fun topics to get through today, including our Scream 6 spoiler discussion. Yeah. And then last week I had a fun game for Morgan, so now he has a fun game for me to close out the show.
I do. Yes, I do.
Yeah, another jam-packed Monday show. So let's jump right into it, Morgan.
Well,
ask the question.
The question is, sup, Jeannine?
We have a lot up. We have lots up today.
Lots up. So.
We recently.
Terrible. What was I doing then? I don't know. I couldn't tell you. I've got insane.
It's okay. So, we recently had the release of Creed 3. And Michael B. Jordan has discussed some Creed spinoff projects, including some anime things, some series. Yeah. So, what do you think about that?
Look, it came out in the news that it's kind of sad in a way. I obviously like it because I like Creed. I like the Rocky movies. Let's further expand the Rocky Creed world. Why not? People have been talking about or re-talking about since Creed 3 came out, just the consistent quality of the Rocky Creed movies is staggering when you consider it's 9 movies in. Yeah. There's only one iffy movie. The rest of them are really good movies.
Solid, yeah.
I don't even need to tell you what the iffy movie is because it's plainly
Pretty
obvious to
general.
everybody
Yeah.
what the weak Rocky movie is. So it comes as no surprise that, studios would start to talk about, oh, well, let's do television spin-offs. Let's further expand things. Let's turn this franchise and milk it for all it's worth. And you expect this. It's not that it's not exciting, because like we talked about in our Creed 3 review, the anime influence in the final fight in that movie, there is supposedly to be an anime show based in this world, in
this
the
universe
Creed world,
yeah.
and it's all being spearheaded, it's all being produced by Michael B. Jordan, who's obviously just in love
Very
with this
integral
character
to
and
this.
in love
Yeah.
with this world. There's also apparently supposedly going to be a show focusing on his daughter Amara,
Okay.
which it may be her getting into fighting. Who knows? We don't know. This is a base kind of discussion announcement that came out of potential and probable spin-off projects in the Creed world, and it is exciting. I will be interested in these things. I will be interested in coming back to that world and those characters. Of course I will. It just always is just like, oh, for God's sake, you have to just milk everything for all it's worth, don't you? You will have to milk it dry until people are sick to death of it.
Yeah.
And it happens with everything. You can't just let good things be purely what they are. Carry it on as a movie series. Things like Bond has carried on since 1962 as a continuous movie series that's just movie. You don't need a limited series of Bond, do you?
Yes. I mean, I like the idea of a show kind of being centered around a deaf character. So
Yes,
I think that's a
absolutely.
cool idea, and a deaf character going into something like fighting. So I like that idea alone is, I think, a cool idea. And then just putting that kind of marquee known IP name on it, I think is also just an extra boost. So I like the idea of the spin-off show with the daughter, but branching off into other kind of side shows, I mean, I liked kind of missing the franchise a little bit and then
Yes.
kind of coming back to it. So to get an influx of all this extra information, I'd rather just kind of get it in a movie
Yeah.
than because like I feel like the movies have done a pretty good job fleshing out these characters. So it's like, what more can you tell me or show me that I don't think I already know about
Or
these
already
characters?
will get in a potential sequel.
Yes. And I mean, I also like the idea of an anime thing. So if you're gonna kind of branch off separate things that are related to this, I think it needs to be things that you really can't focus on in just a movie. So a
Yeah.
story about Amara, I think, would be great because the Creed movies focus mostly on Creed. Um,
She is a Creed.
yes, but I'm saying they mostly focus on Michael B. Jordan's character.
They do.
So to get a story about another character and being able to focus on them, I think is a cool idea. Like, like Pennyworth and getting a whole kind of show about Alfred, because
Okay. Yeah.
yeah. So I like the idea of some of these shows and some of these ideas fleshing out things that we're probably not going to get in a movie or that we could get enough information about in a movie. So the anime thing, I think that's an interesting kind of take on things that we haven't seen before. So that could just be a cool thing in terms of kind of like art and relating something like Rocky to something like anime and see how that comes together, and telling a story about a character that we may not get enough from in an actual Creed movie. But anything more than that, I feel like maybe might be just overkill, over uh indulgence in this
Yeah.
franchise. And you know, I want to
I
miss
just
it a
don't
little
want
bit.
that. I
Yeah,
want to miss it.
I don't want to get sick of it. I don't want to get bombarded by so much of it that, you know, it just
No,
feels
and
like too much.
it's what always happens. I mean, for God's sake, we bring up this enough. Look what the MCU has been like for the past 2 or 3 years. There's been so much stuff that people are gradually becoming just a bit tired.
Yeah.
Just a little bit like, oh God, another one, another thing to
Yeah.
watch, so I have to keep up. I don't
Yeah.
want this to turn into one of these franchises, one of these very popular, very well-loved properties that people go, oh, I have to watch another one because, you know, I can't keep up. I never
Yeah.
want to feel like that
Yeah.
with this. I never want to feel like that with anything. It's just when you do milk stuff dry, you end up feeling like that.
Yes. So
Because
I hope
there's too much.
there's that fear of milking that well dry. But you know, I have a lot of faith in Michael B. Jordan. He seems like he has a vision. He
Yeah,
seems like
definitely.
he really cares about these things. So it's not like just a cash grab type feeling thought going into this.
But it might
Um
be from other people.
Other people, exactly. So yeah, that's kind of in the back of my mind in terms of these kinds of projects. So cautiously optimistic. I want him to succeed. He seems like he's, you know, very talented and passionate and has some great ideas and really is invested and cares about this. So that's exciting. But yeah, just kind of worried about the oversaturation of this great franchise.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I
Yeah.
think that's fair. Well, what about another? You can't call this a franchise, really, can you? Or can you? I suppose this had its own TV show and animated things and
Yeah.
whatever
Mhm.
else. Beetlejuice 2. Oh, another legacy sequel. What a surprise this is.
Yes.
Let's bring something that was popular in the mid-80s back and reintroduce it to everybody, and everybody will go and see it, and people will whinge about it, and people will complain about it, and then other people will really like it, and then there'll be fights on Twitter. This is just what happens.
Yes.
Beetlejuice 2, which I hadn't even really heard was a thing.
Yes, I mean, I
Before
had heard
hearing this news.
rumblings about things for years. Somebody had made like a graphic designer had made like these like mock posters that looked really cool. In the back of my mind, there's always this thought of like, okay, well, we left Lydia kind of being cared for and living with, you know, still with her family, but obviously kind of more
Yeah.
being parented by these ghosts, which, you know, your whole budget is going to go into de-aging Alec Baldwin, who's in his own kind of situation right now. So not sure he's
Yeah,
really
that's a
focusing on acting, and Gina Davis. So how is that going to play? You might have to do a story without them because obviously she's going to be
yeah.
grown up now, and obviously her dad was played by a very problematic actor at that.
Incredibly problematic. The
So
problems surrounding
exactly.
this.
So literally, you could only bring back like a grown up Lydia.
Yeah.
Beetlejuice, obviously, he's covered in makeup, so it doesn't really matter. And Michael Keaton has aged pretty well. I think he looks pretty
He
good.
has, yeah, he
Um,
has.
so that would be the focus. So if you're going to kind of focus on this mother-daughter kind of thing,
Well, I hadn't
um,
even mentioned what this was supposedly to be,
yes,
which is Jenna Ortega in
potentially
talks to
being
play Lydia's
Lydia's daughter.
daughter in
Yeah.
a Beetlejuice 2, a Tim Burton directed Beetlejuice 2. Now, obviously, Jenna Ortega now has a professional relationship with Tim Burton thanks to Wednesday,
Yes.
which was very, very successful, and I really enjoyed Wednesday.
Yes, but also kind of just tangent about that is she recently went on a podcast really talking about all of the things the show was doing that she didn't like and her kind of
Oh, okay.
having to shift and change things to keep the character. She became very protective of the character, and the things that the showrunners were doing were definitely not in line with what she thought the character should be doing. So she was kind of rewriting her lines and like saying things
Okay.
differently than what was on the page. So I don't know if that was like any kind of conflict with Tim Burton or just kind of other people involved, writers and showrunner type people.
Yeah.
but she was very upfront with her opinions on the problem. Like, she was not a fan of the love triangle. She's like, that would never happen to Wednesday. Like,
No. I
she's
mean,
pretty
admittedly, neither was
asexual. Like,
I.
yes. So, like, the YA aspect, she was definitely just not feeling like this was something very coded to the character. So she was very candid about all of that. So in the back of my mind, I wonder if that was any kind of conflict with Tim Burton, but probably not, because now for next season they've made her an executive producer, I believe. So
yeah, it's probably not. It's seemingly similar to the Stallone situation with Creed 3, which is Stallone has absolutely no issue with Michael B. Jordan,
but
it's an issue with other producers, with the studio itself.
Irwin Winkler, who is just holding on to
which
the
is
rights. Yeah,
staggering, really, that he has such an issue with Irwin Winkler, given the fact that Irwin Winkler has been there since the very, very beginning.
Yeah.
But you know, professional relationships fall apart, don't they? Sometimes.
Yes.
So I don't know if I'm into the idea of a Beetlejuice 2. I love Beetlejuice being its own singular thing. And again, it would feel like, oh, let's milk the popular thing.
Yes.
Because this is just what people do and people are tired of it. People
that's
go,
bring back
don't
the
they? And I
legacy
go, and
sequel.
it's hypocritical because I go and watch them, and whilst still being so tired of them, and so tired of just, oh, this thing brought back,
But I mean,
oh, another thing brought back.
But it also has to be done well and not just being done for the sake of nostalgia or milking off of nostalgia.
Yeah, and only a handful are, though.
Yeah. Yes. And so I feel like if the right kind of things are in place, Tim Burton being involved, Michael Keaton being involved, Winona Ryder being involved, these are people who were a part of the original, who obviously cared about it. So if these people are back, and I don't think they would come back unless, it was a good script, it was a good story. I feel like it could be something cool. Jenna Ortega obviously is showing she has a lot of integrity in terms of the project she's picking, because she has not had a kind of wrong turn yet in terms of her kind of career trajectory. So she seems to make smart decisions. So I feel like she wouldn't do this either if it wasn't, something that she felt good about. So, I think they could, if we're working with Beetlejuice and Lydia and Lydia's daughter, played by Jenna Ortega, I think that is definitely, and Tim Burton, I think that is definitely a good kicking off point to craft an interesting story. Even if we don't see characters we knew from before, like Catherine O'Hara and, Gina Davis and Alec Baldwin. So and Catherine O'Hara could totally come back and just say, "Oh, the dad died" or something,
Of course she could. I'd like that. I think that,
especially since people who maybe don't think about her outside of Kevin's mom. She's now very in this other vein of popularity with Schitt's Creek, so she would be very relevant to a new audience as well. So
I think a lot of people would like to see her back, but it would be an interesting effects situation with any potential aging of ghosts. Of a ghost,
Yeah.
And Alec Baldwin certainly, I just think
this is like the last thing on his mind
at the minute.
Yeah.
He's in a really tough place at the minute. That
aside from his wife pretending to be Spanish,
his wife, I don't even.
So he's married to this woman named Hillary, who's like from Boston, but somewhere. She's an American woman. Her parents are American. They moved to Spain when she was a grown adult, but she goes by Hilaria, and she speaks with a Spanish accent and pretends she's Spanish. So she speaks Spanish, she speaks with an accent, then she names her kids like Spanish names and speaks to her kids in Spanish and goes.
Yes. I don't mind speaking to your kids in Spanish.
Yes,
I'm all for bilingualism.
Great. But she talks about going home like Spain. Her parents are American. and they
maybe
live in Spain.
Well, maybe
But
maybe she does consider Spain home. I mean, I would say that if you move to Spain as a grown adult, you shouldn't be pretending to be Spanish. But maybe she does consider Spain home.
well, that is fine, but she's literally pretending to be a Spanish person.
I
Her
mean,
name is
don't speak with a
Hillary, and
Spanish
she
accent.
goes by Hilaria, and she tells everybody her name is Hilaria, and like
Is
this
that
whole,
the it
it's
was
a
the
whole thing.
is the impression?
It's pretty bad, and she like eases in and out of like
That's
of this
unusual. I
accent.
didn't know that.
It's very weird. Yes, so
That
that's a
is
whole other thing.
unusual.
So yes, I'm sure he is not focused on any kind of projects at the moment.
Absolutely not.
But like I said, I definitely think if Tim Burton, if Winona Ryder's there, and Jenna Ortega, who's on this really big kind of hot streak right now, I think they could craft, and obviously Michael Keaton, they could craft a great
Yes.
story with that core group of people. So
And
interesting.
Very
Yeah.
interesting. Obviously, we will be continuing to speak about Jenna Ortega once we get into our Scream
Yes.
review. I, as far as Jenna Ortega is concerned, would like to not just. I hope she doesn't, and I don't think she will, because I think she's better than this, and that's not to look down on these particular things. But I don't want to see her just go down the kind of half family-friendly horror-based route, you know, of a Wednesday, of a Beetlejuice 2, and not that Beetlejuice is family-friendly, but you know what I mean.
But it's more, yeah, it's not complete horror, you know.
It's
You
not
don't call.
X, for example, is it?
Yes.
That she
Yeah.
was in. I want to see more real nastiness. You know, I want
Yeah.
to see her in more real nasty horror. Scream does fit that, to be fair. I think she
Yeah.
always works. She's worked really well in these last two Scream movies.
Yes.
And they're obviously fairly nasty movies, but don't always take themselves so seriously.
Yes.
But there's nothing wrong with doing that. They are still nasty slashers. But certainly, you know, I think she was great in X, and you know, I want to see genuine kind of true scary horror, like not. I don't know what I mean.
Well, we
when I
know
say
that she's
scary
not
horror.
going to. We know that she's not going to get into that box because she's obviously done things like X. So
Yeah,
I don't
know.
really feel like she's going to kind of stick with that route. I think she's very particular and really smart about what she chooses to do. So I think she's going to, while she is kind of in this horror mode right now, I think she has the range and is really smart about what she chooses to do. So I think she's going to gear towards a project that she thinks is interesting.
Yeah, whatever it is, whatever the tone of it is.
Exactly.
Yeah, I suppose
so I don't
fair.
see her. I don't see her, you know, putting herself in a box like that. But
no, and I just don't want to see that. I just don't want to see that because I think she can do more kind of nasty horror.
Yes.
As opposed to kind of enjoyable, fun horror,
Yeah.
which there's nothing wrong with that at all.
Yes.
But yeah, I like Jenna Ortega.
I do. Everybody does.
Pretty much everybody does, actually. We do have a trailer, Jeannine, we wanted to talk about. This is a weird one. This is a trailer for a movie called No Hard Feelings.
Yes.
Starring, which I think is
Jennifer
a great title, starring Jennifer Lawrence. Who, I mean, Jennifer Lawrence doing a movie like this. This is interesting because Jennifer Lawrence has always seemed a rather, while famously very kind of goofy in person, whether you view that as being a put-on persona or genuine, I don't know. I view it as being genuine. I like to think people as genuine. Yeah. But her movies and her stepping back, obviously, from quite a lot of movies recent, you know, in more recent years,
having a baby and getting married and all of that, have been more
they've always been fairly serious movies. Yes, okay, there was franchises early on, wasn't there? There was Hunger Games, there was X-Men, there was all this kind of stuff. But you even go back to the very beginning and Winter's Bone and things like that. It's a serious movie. Silver Linings Playbook, serious movie,
Mother.
serious
Yeah.
performance. Mother. I mean, Mother was a weird movie. It was a serious movie, though.
Yes. So now this movie Causeway, with Brian Tyree Henry.
Yes. But this movie is a silly movie, Ginny.
Yes,
By all accounts.
and I do think we need more movies like this. Like this very much harkens back to these kind of silly rom-coms or these kinds of,
It's a sex
PG-13
comedy.
sex comedies that we were getting in the early 2000s to mid 2000s and things like that. So I feel like those types of movies have kind of fallen by the wayside for more you know, I don't want to, sound like Tara and talk about elevated sex
You know,
comedies or
I don't think.
elevated.
Look, I don't think you're wrong though, because I think there is. I mean, for better or worse, because obviously some of these style of movies, the early mid 2000s sex comedy, are very vulgar movies, very graphic movies,
Yes. And now
very
we're in this culture of,
obnoxious movies.
yes, but now we're in
Some
this
of them.
culture of like, not offending anybody and not discluding anybody or so, those movies kind of had free reign to do all of those things because there was this understanding that this is a movie, this is satire,
Yes.
this is not to be taken in any kind of serious way, but now there's a whole kind of sensitivity around things that I feel like that's what has kind of killed this style of movie.
This is because a lot of people do take silly things as seriously, and I think that's dangerous, really.
Yeah.
Obviously, we shouldn't be going about making fun of people, who are we shouldn't be going around the place being horrible to people. But in a silly movie, a silly movie context, we've spoken about this.
Yeah.
Context, the context of a silly movie, just go for it. Be a bit vulgar, be a bit direct and nasty at times, but recognize that crude. Recognize that a character can be that, but that character is fictional. That character is entirely
and that
fictional.
not every character has to speak for a certain
the
group,
populace. No.
Yes. So, I mean, I like the idea of this movie. Basically, her character is, needs money. She's kind of in dire straits, not in a good place. She's going to lose her house. So she answers this ad to date this kind of rich family's son, who's this 19-year-old who like is kind of a nerd, who hasn't really experienced anything, who doesn't go anywhere, doesn't do anything, doesn't party or drink or have any friends. He's just very kind of isolated and introverted. So they want him to have kind of more experiences before he goes off to college. So they put an ad for someone to date him.
And by date, they don't mean date.
Yeah, they mean date the hell out of him. Yeah, whatever they say. Yes.
I'm sure someone says date him hard or something.
Yeah, something like that.
It's one of those.
So she answers the ad because I think that they'll give her a car is like what the ad is promising. So it's her kind of dating this 19-year-old, trying to get him out of his shell. And obviously there's going to kind of be this emotional core throughout the comedy where she actually kind of starts to like actually care about him in some way, to a friendship degree or a romantic degree, because I'm sure she's a decent amount older than him,
I mean, how old is Jennifer Lawrence now? I always think of Jennifer Lawrence as being relatively young, but she's probably 10 years older than I am.
She's probably like 30, maybe close to 30, I would say.
I would think she's older than that.
Older than that?
Strange to I would think she is, and it would be strange to consider her as being older than that.
Yes.
So do a quick check on the age of Jennifer Lawrence. But this movie to me, it seems
she's 32.
She's 32. Okay, so
Yes.
it seems like it would be it would take the turn of let's just be nice and friends in the end, because we had this whole situation where I was trying to bang you for the entire movie and you didn't really want to. And maybe, to be fair to this movie, maybe it takes an approach into asexuality. Maybe it does that. Maybe the kid is perfectly happy, you know,
how he is and who
he is. And he's just his parents are trying to force this on him. Maybe it takes this approach, and by the end we'll learn just like, okay, you don't want this, do you? You don't need this. Let's just be friends. That would be quite nice. I don't mind that.
Yeah.
I also don't mind if it gets really crude. It's not really clear which way it may go.
It's gonna go. So I'm curious about that. But I feel like just movies like this don't really get made anymore. It looks like a lot of fun. Jennifer Lawrence kind of finally getting to dig into kind of her real silliness as a person.
Yeah.
She has great comedic timing and comedy chops we've seen in things like Silver Linings Playbook. That was a dramatic film but had a lot of comedy in it, and she played those scenes really well. So I'm excited to kind of see this version of her getting to just to be more fun in a movie and you know, really play to her real life kind of just chillness as a person. And see a movie that harkens back to a time of movie that feels like it's kind of disappeared. So
yeah, I mean, it's nice to have a throwback.
It looks like a lot of fun
once in a while.
Yeah.
In tone, it does look like a lot of fun. I just remember myself as a 19-year-old who was very, very attracted to Jennifer Lawrence, Jeannine. I will be honest with you, and likely still am, to be perfectly honest. You know, she hasn't lost anything. I'm talking like she's 63. You know, I like Jennifer Lawrence. I do like Jennifer Lawrence. I think Jennifer Lawrence is a beautiful person. And certainly did as a 19-year-old. So. Yes. Why this 19-year-old in this movie can't see it in Jennifer Lawrence, I don't know.
Yes, he's just very confused. Yeah.
It's why I'm considering there might be a sense of genuine conversation about asexuality in this movie that might be there. Because I personally don't see how he doesn't just go, yes, please.
Yes. This girl is talking to me. Okay.
It's not just this girl is talking to me. This girl is throwing herself at me. She's literally presenting herself to me on the couch.
Yes. And in the
I'm
ocean.
Just like, no. And even introverts, because again, we're looking at myself here.
Yeah.
Cannot stay introverted in such circumstances. So maybe there's just more to it. Maybe. And if there is more to it, I hope it's treated respectfully.
Yes, definitely.
And not as a joke. We don't want that.
No.
We don't want things like that to be treated as a joke. We certainly don't want things like that to be treated as something to cure or anything like that. I think that would be a bad call for this movie to take. Very much so. But I'm interested in this movie. I like the style of it.
Same. It looks like a lot of fun.
You know, you don't often think of me as liking kind of crude movies, do you, Jeannine? But then again, every time you show me one, I end up liking it.
Yeah, you do kind of enjoy it. So
I do enjoy it. Yes. I am not a snobbish snobbery as much as you like to think I am.
It's the accent.
You do like to think it's the accent. It's racist, Jeannine. It's racist.
Well, speaking of
racist, yeah.
So I stumbled across this TikToker. Her name is Sparks Vicky. She's
not a racist.
No, definitely not. She's a great content creator on TikTok, and she did a video talking about how I believe Entertainment Weekly does this article where they anonymously talk to different Academy members, and it'll say kind of what their status is, if they're an actor, a producer, a crew person, a composer or whatever, and they kind of outline who they're voting for. So they're very honest and candid about who they're voting for because it's anonymous. So she's reading this article in this magazine, I believe. Yeah, it is Entertainment Weekly. And there's a whole kind of section from an actor giving his opinions on the Oscar nominations and who he's voting for. And he came out with some very, because of the anonymity of this article, he felt like he could just kind of speak some very misogynistic and racist kinds of things about how he was going to vote.
Yeah, and things that don't make any sense either when you actually.
He very much seems like he has a disdain for women, particularly Black women. He hates Steven Spielberg and
Other Jewish people.
Yes, he seems to have a huge problem with Steven Spielberg's movie and Judd Hirsch, and says everything about it was terrible. So Sparks Vicky does kind of speculate, like, did Steven Spielberg not like hire you for a movie at one point? Because that's what this feels like. He talks about
are we in a hunt to find who this person is?
Right? I really want to know.
Not a hunt, but it's a curiosity. It's like, who is this coming
person?
Out with all these ridiculous
He's talking
comments?
about Ana de Armas's performance in Blonde, and talking about how in every scene she's getting raped or attacked or brutalized, and every time she walks into a room she's getting raped, and like it's spoken in the vein of him chuckling and laughing while he's saying this.
We don't need to speak about.
He's talking about Viola Davis and the director of The Woman King, and telling them to just shut up. If they were deserving of a nomination, then they would have gotten nominated. Viola Davis already has an Oscar, so she's doing fine. She needs to stop whining. He's tired of seeing her snotty tears. This movie was not deserving of a nomination, even though he didn't see The Woman King. He admits he didn't even see the movie.
That's what I mean. It doesn't make a lot of sense. The only thing I'm going to give the guy is that he correctly determined that Viola Davis does snotty cry.
And what's wrong with that?
Whether we're tired of it or not, which I don't think we are. The fact is, it's the one thing. It's the one thing I'm saying. The one thing I'm saying.
You agree with, but yes,
that is a fact. Viola Davis does snotty
but he's
cry.
The only person
she's great at it. She's phenomenal. She's really at snotty crying.
Yes. He talks about the film Woman Talking, that none of that was believable. He talks about
yes, because women can't talk. Probably.
No. He talks about not believing Angela Bassett's Wakandan accent, not
Wakanda's a fictional
computing
country.
That Wakanda is a fictional place.
Doesn't make any sense. I think someone has planted this person there as a joke, because none of it makes any sense, and it's too just obviously horrible. And I don't know if this is just my view of the world and or my nice view of the world, and I like to think everybody is good. But are people genuinely this, when it comes to, I'm anonymous, I will say whatever I want now?
Yes.
Are people just going to come out with the worst type of stuff?
I know. I feel like he just has this anonymity, so he is just free to say whatever he wants. He believes that the only reason that there's controversy behind Andrea Riseborough's nomination is because Viola Davis is complaining about how she didn't get nominated. If Viola Davis hadn't been complaining so much, nobody would have really batted an eye about Andrea Riseborough's nomination. So he was just saying a bunch of really crazy things. If you want to see the video, go find Sparks Vicky on TikTok. She kind of goes through all the worst things this person says. So my question is, who is this actor? I really want to know.
Who is this person?
He says he's also he also said he had planned to vote for Michelle Yeoh, but he seemed very resentful about that, saying that, like, I'm only voting for her because everyone's already saying she's going to win, and I don't like that, but I'm just doing it because that's what I guess I'm supposed to do. So he's like,
but this is what I mean, though. He has just seemingly the most offensive possible opinion about every little thing, which is why I just think this has gone one step further than just being an offensive person into being comedically offensive, to the point where it has to be a joke, surely.
Exactly. Everything he's saying is just so unbelievable. So like for EW to like let this actor spout all this craziness and just print it, like, okay.
But this
So
is why I think Entertainment Weekly might, in 3 or 4 days' time, come out and go, well, the Oscars are over now. It was. It was you. It was him.
Yes. Somebody who's ready to quit their job at EW might just spill the tea.
Yeah, why
so, not? Right? So, yes. In the comments below, who do you think this actor is who's spouting all of this misogynistic,
that's the question for today.
Low-key racist rhetoric. Yeah.
That is the question for today. What we have to go off is probably has an agenda against Spielberg for whatever reason. We don't know why. Doesn't like black women by the sounds of it,
or just women in general.
That's all we really have to go off.
Yeah,
that's all we really have to go off. So yeah, that's our question for today. You can leave a comment if you're watching on YouTube, or I might put the question on the Spotify as well, because you can have like a little Q&A question on Spotify.
Okay, yeah. Who do you think this actor is?
What a stupid Q&A that is. Yes, who is this deeply offensive person, or is it, like I think it is, actually just all a big joke, and somebody's gone in there with the sole intention of saying the most
spicy things,
the most possibly offensive thing,
just because
to each thing. Yeah. It's weird. It's weird.
I want to know who it is. So yes, before we get into our review of Scream 6, I actually got to compete in some fun Scream 2022 trivia on Friday. It was a really fun match. Me versus Perri Nemiroff, a known Scream fan, very popular movie critic. If you've gone to the movie theater, you've seen Perri do her Perri's picks, her thoughts. She comes on before the movie starts in several theaters.
Yes, I wish we got Perri Nemiroff in Britain.
Yeah, so you do see her talking about movies in your kind of theater pre-show, which is really cool. She's interviewed a ton of people. She has a bunch of great Scream content and interviews coming up. She did mention today she is releasing a full spoiler interview with the directors. She asked them all kinds of spoilery questions. So, as Ghostface says in said movie Scream 2022, it was an honor getting to get out with her in Scream 5 trivia. I am the reigning. We did it on the Video Drew YouTube channel. They have their video chronic pop culture quizzes that they do on all kinds of movies. And at that time, I had been the kind of reigning Scream champion. So every Scream movie, I did the quizzes, and I had won every single one.
What a surprise.
And Perri was actually the winner of the Schmodown Scream exhibition match. So it was kind of
Did you compete in that?
They didn't ask me, so I don't know.
That is a scandal.
I was very upset they didn't ask me.
How did that not
maybe
happen?
They just it just didn't get down the pipeline that I was a very huge Scream fan. I don't
know. No wonder the Schmodown fell apart if they don't recognize Scream
fan
talent.
Yes. So
sorry, that was offensive to Schmodown. we love the Schmodown. It's a big part of our lives.
Yes. It was a really fun match. We got some great engagement. Obviously, like, I wish I could have been more involved in the chat, but obviously playing a match and the chat getting to answer the questions, I could not look at the chat to see any of that. So, but I was told there was a lot of engagement. I actually had family members and friends like message me because yes, Mr. Machine did kind of share the link out and tell people to check it out. So that was really nice, supportive. Yes. So yeah, it was a really fun match. Perri did draw first blood. Some of the questions got very kind of tricky. One of the questions, I think the first question that was pretty tricky, I had to go to multiple choice, was, when Dewey is texting Gail, he texts 2 words before deleting it, What were those 2
Ooh.
words?
Ooh. Yeah, this is very, very deep called Scream 5.
And so
trivia.
I couldn't remember. So I was like, is it like I miss you? So I miss, but I wasn't sure. So she had it locked in. I checked down a multiple choice. Obviously, when you check down a multiple choice, it goes down to 1 point. So I checked down, and I'm glad I did, because if I had put I miss, I would have just missed the 2 points.
Ooh.
So then once I saw the I still, then I remembered it was the I still. So that's what it was. So then that got me down
Dewey,
1 point from her. Right?
Soppy creature.
So that got me 1 point down from her. And then another tough question was in the scene when I think Amber's about to kind of reveal herself as the killer and shoot Liv, and everyone's kind of accusing each other after Mindy gets attacked. Who enters the room last?
Yeah, I mean, you're gonna.
And so I just kind of jumped.
Yes,
so I just jumped to Richie because he was obviously the ghost face who attacked Mindy. And then he comes in, and then I thought, okay, then he comes into the room late, and then everyone's kind of questioning, where were you? Da 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 da. So I just took a chance and said Richie, but the answer was Liv. So I got that one wrong. So now she's like 3 points ahead of me. So I'm like, oh, I'm gonna lose. So I don't know if I want to give it all away. You could go so people can actually go and check it out.
Yeah, don't give it away. You can go and check that out.
So yes, I kind of, she had me on the ropes, but you know, I maybe find my way back. So it was a really fun match. So check out.
You know, let's just remember you as the reigning Scream trivia champion, but also Perri Nemiroff herself as another, you know, faction's reigning Scream trivia champion.
In her
but I
own
think
right.
that's only because you weren't invited.
Oh, well, thank you. But so there were some things she was very confident on that I was iffy about, and vice versa. There were some things I was very confident about, and she had to kind of really think about. So I felt like we were very evenly matched. So it was a really fun match. And yeah, I love what Video Drew does. Her and Nerd Chronic, Eric, they do some great stuff on their channel. So please check out the Video Drew YouTube channel. They have a bunch of fun stuff over there. And these Video Chronic pop culture quizzes are really fun. I believe they talked about doing one on The Departed with some Boston natives. Yes. So they do all kinds of movies. So I think, yeah, it's a really fun show. And so me and Perri may be back to face off on Scream 6. So
what movie do I like? I'm asking that as though I don't know what movie I like. What movie do I know? Night of the Hunter trivia. What movie do I know
put that on
above every other?
Randomly.
I mean, okay, yes, I will admit to the last time I was feeling a little bit upset, a little bit down. What movie did I put on to cheer myself up? The Night of the Hunter. Why that movie is reason to cheer up, I don't know.
Yes.
But it did its job.
Yes. But some very tricky, difficult questions. I think one of the questions that was also really tough was, but I actually knew it. So I was very proud of myself, was what is the last thing Dewey says to Gail? In person.
Yeah, I don't know.
In
person.
Yes.
I don't know. It's probably something soppy.
Yes. So watch the match on the Video Drew YouTube channel, Video Chronic Pop Culture Quizzes. So it was a really fun one. So I was honored to play against Perri. She's great. So
yes, she is. We liked Perri.
Yes, also follow Perri Nemiroff. She has a lot of great stuff going on in terms of celebrity interviews and great movie critic and interviewer and all of that. So
and person.
Yes, she's really cool. So yes.
Yes, lovely. Well, I think it's about time now then, Jeannine. Why don't we just get straight on into it? Although I still need to figure out what movie I know
you would do.
Else.
Yes, because I think you would be, you would probably have to take a nap and then come on at a very random time to compete. But
what movie? There's another question. There's another question for people in the comments. or on Twitter, you know, hashtag Monday Madness Pod, hashtag, you know, It's a Wonderful One if you want. Let me know. Well, let us know who you think the horrible actor is, but also let us know what movie do I know above everyone else, or what movie does it seem like I know above
Morgan's
everyone
constantly
else?
tweeting about movies that he's watching, movies he enjoys. He does his whole Blu-ray physical media collection videos. So all of that will give you a sense of what Morgan is into in terms of films and vibes and things. Or listen to the podcast episodes, you know, as well. So
I don't hate your Night of the Hunter suggestion. And Night of the Hunter trivia, I think I could
but I don't know who would compete against you.
No, compete against. You'd have to get somebody who's just a real old
aficionado.
At which point I would just be deeply intimidated by somebody that clearly does that for a career.
Well, what if you did It's a Wonderful Life?
No, I don't think I'd. No,
you don't think you'd be good at that?
No, I don't. Not trivia.
Okay.
Not Wonderful Life trivia. I wouldn't, because I can't just watch it beforehand, because you can't watch It's a Wonderful Life in August.
You really just like...
You can watch Night of the Hunter any time.
Well, what if it was a Christmas quiz that they did around Christmas?
It was a Christmas quiz? Okay.
Yes.
What noir icon is in It's a Wonderful Life that nobody ever recognised was in It's a Wonderful Life before they started? I mean, by nobody, I mean me. What that I didn't even recognise was in It's a Wonderful Life before I started watching her in all these noir movies. It's Gloria Graham. She plays Violet.
Yes.
As in Violet, as in, oh, Violet, you look good in that dress. What, this old thing? I only wear this when I don't care how I look.
Yeah.
Gloria Graham. Yeah. Oh. That's a stupid point. Anyway, Oliver, the musical. I know that probably above most other people. That's not really
your favorite version of
trivia, though, is it?
Of A Christmas Carol.
Scrooge music. Yeah, it's not really conducive to trivia because it's kind of based on original books and things. It needs to be like Scream's entirely wholly original. It's you know, you've got to have a singular thing. Anyway, let's actually get into our Let's Talk for today. It is our full spoiler review of Scream 6.
So let's do like a spoiler-free section where we kind of just give general thoughts, and then we can get into the spoiler talk.
Okay, I know obviously you will be able to take over this entire thing. You know, this will likely be about 35 minutes long of a discussion or something like that. And it could just be you. So I would actually like to say something.
Okay, all right.
At the beginning about Scream 6. And I don't mind it just be you. You are the expert. This is perfectly
also
fine.
Shout out these beautiful posters gifted to me by our good friends Steve and Heather. Thank you guys. I love these. They are in my media room. They're usually hung on a different wall, but I wanted to feature them, obviously, because we're talking Scream today. So I love these posters. They're beautiful. Yes.
If you are watching, you can see them. They are very, very nice. I especially like the one on the left, actually. The colourful one.
Yes.
The colourful one. Yes, I like the colourful. Yes. My left.
Yes.
Yes, I like the colourful one. Yes, anyway, Scream 6. What do I think about Scream 6? I was not concerned. I was questioning... My favourite thing about the Scream movies is always how they make fun of their own place within that
the meta commentary.
Yes, the meta commentary, their own place within the world of horror at that time, and their own place within their own series.
Yes.
So I was questioning what Scream 6 would do, because Scream 5 was very good at making fun of legacy sequels.
Yeah.
What would Scream 6 do? It's always my favourite part of the Scream movies. Quite enjoyably, it just turned into let's make fun of ongoing franchises. which we've actually already made fun of on
Yes.
today's show. I really liked that. I thought the comedy hits very, very smartly again. The commentary hits very smartly. But most impressively for me about Scream 6, actually, is that it really brings back the hard mystery of a Scream movie
Yeah.
that I don't think was as strong in Scream 5, because I think
Yeah.
Scream 5 was about, let's bring, everybody back, let's reintroduce, but let's introduce people.
Let's
Now
also
we can
pay
sit
tribute.
in with all, let's pay tribute.
Yeah.
Now we can sit in this movie in Scream 6. Yes, we get a new location, brand new things going on. Of course we do, which is I think great. I think New York as the setting is really, really interesting and, works a hell of a lot differently to small town Woodsboro or even, a movie studio or a random college. It's the city of New York is very well used, I think, in Scream 6. But the mystery of it, I really feel there is a good mystery behind this Ghostface and behind who our Ghostface is in this movie.
Yes.
And why they are doing this here, why they are coming, back in this way. Why people are so enamored by the Ghostfaces and Ghostface's story and the whole Woodsboro killings and all of it.
The fascination with it and
why
the
is there
twist
still
of,
such a fascination?
yes.
And who, what angle is Sam going to go down? Is she becoming a little bit messed up herself? And all these kind of things. There is real heavy mystery to this movie that was there to a point in Scream 5, but it's what I love about the first Scream. And
I will say,
second, and Scream 2 as well, I think.
Yes,
they definitely.
Really well. I think these directors, can work a little bit more on the subtlety of the mystery. Wes was really good at that, showing just people's shoes, showing just closing in on different people, just giving random stares, like you're just have a just flash to Kenny the cameraman just kind of looking at Sydney a weird way. Or the sheriff looking down at his boots when he puts out his cigarette. Having someone enter the room after Ghostface leaves. Like, just very subtle cues. You're not spoon feeding us the mystery aspects. Wes was really good with that. So I feel like we got a little bit more of that better done in 6 than in 5. But I think there also needs to be a little, I feel like these directors feel like they kind of have to maybe explain a little too much and exposition a little too much.
I think that's
when
a fair
they could
point.
Go back to the Wes subtleties of just kind of showing, not telling a little bit more.
That is a very fair point, but I think you also have to be obviously Wes Craven was a wonderful singular director.
Yes.
And I don't think these guys are on the same kind of level, really.
No, but I'm just saying these are easy. Like, obviously Wes is probably not the only director to do things like that.
No, certainly not.
So I'm just saying, like, if the whodunit aspect is what makes Scream, was one of the many things that makes Scream great. So I feel like they could really just play in the show don't tell a little bit more than they do. They do feel like they are exposition heavy in a lot of spots. Like, if you think about the first Scream movie, it was a hot minute before we really got Sydney's full story. They peppered it in news reports, and Tatum like stopping herself before she's saying things, before she comes in to talk to the principal and the police chief, and Sydney Prescott, she's the daughter of and then and then they kind of shut up. And then it isn't until we see her kind of have this conversation with Gail that we get more of the story. So like things like that, we're just kind of, the world is kind of casually telling us and giving us cues to what is happening without kind of somebody just giving full exposition. So I wish these guys could really delve into kind of those aspects a little bit more. I think they do that a little bit better in this film than in 5, which felt very exposition heavy.
But
So
almost needed to be.
yes. But I think, I think there are really just subtle, easy ways that they can give us information, show us information, as opposed to, having someone
Yeah,
explain everything.
I don't disagree, but you could also look at that even as, well, we're doing it because that's what franchise movies do. They over explain things that we've already seen in previous movies. So why not treat it as a joke? Maybe I'm just being a bit too complimentary in thinking that.
No, I mean,
Maybe that is a thing, because it comes from writing, really, doesn't it?
yes, no, and I love this director's style, the writers as well. I mean, Ready or Not was so fun and so unique, and really mixed comedy and horror well. Really gave some fun characters and character development. So I love what they do with these characters here. I love a lot of their style, but while you're taking this over from Wes, who had a stamp on these films, um, and you talk about Wes being an inspiration to you, you have to think about kind of at least the core things that made this franchise great, and maybe try to, incorporate them in some way while still keeping your own style.
Yeah, I think
So
that's fair.
so I feel like they're on the way to marrying those things together.
Yeah, like I said, but ultimately, I think the mystery works really, really well for me in Scream
Yes,
6.
much better here. Yeah.
I really love the way New York's used. I love the development of all our new characters, the core four, as they now
Yes,
refer to
yes.
themselves.
I feel like they are making them kind of another iteration of our core 3, because now our core 3 is
They
no
really
more.
are.
So really focusing on this friendship, this kind of family unit dynamic, this protective unit, I think was really important. And they had a lot of great moments highlighting kind of their protective, really team nature. So I really
They
liked developing that foursome.
and I think it really does a good job in playing on and making fun of, while doing it very genuinely, in moving a franchise on, in
Yes.
kind of in doing what because you can liken Scream 5 and 6 so appropriately to Scream 1 and 2 now,
Yes.
that it just feels like are they redoing the same kind of story points? And yes, they are, but they're aware
Aware
that
of that.
they're
Yes.
redoing the same story points. They're making fun and calling attention to the fact that they're redoing the same story points, which is just genius for Scream to do. It's just
Yes. It's
perfect for
very
Scream to
much
do, and I
of
love
what
that it's
this
doing that.
franchise does. Yes.
I
Yes.
love that it's doing that. I love the way the new characters from 5 are developed further, and we enjoy them more. We like them more. We are into them as a group more. They have certain little things going on with their own heads.
Yeah.
One in particular, but I really do like them in this. I think in terms of the kills, noticeably brutal. I mean, we like Scream at its most brutal. I think this was noticeably
Yes.
gory.
Very gory. I loved that. And just, yeah, the brutality made this movie feel actually very tense and scary.
Yeah, and
Um,
that grocery store scene from the
yeah, that
trailer
bodega.
works
Yeah.
really well.
Yes.
Really, really well. I mean, there's something always that's going to be very tense, very scary, genuinely scary about the kind of Jurassic Park kitchen scene style scene,
Yeah.
and that is that. It's just a ghost face rather than a velociraptor.
Yes.
It always works. It's been used time and time again because it always works. It's very, very effective. I don't want to get into into any spoilers yet. I just think
Yes.
that the scares, the scary scenes, the tense scenes work very, very well.
Yes, the
And are
set pieces were really well done.
always, climaxed with a particularly nasty death, which is also what we go and see Scream movies for. We go and see them for
the kills.
real harsh, and I mean just quick stabbing, quick gutting of people, and just throwing people around, heads bashing in, and this kind of gore. I mean, there's one death that is literally like this: the entire of somebody's face just gets, or is he stabbed through the nose or something like that? It's just like the entire side of his face is just
spurting
he looks
blood.
like Two-Face off Batman. It's just skin and then flesh. It's horrible.
Yes.
But it's what we go to them for.
Yes.
And I really, really enjoyed the movie. I think there's elements to, when we talk about the spoilers, I think there's elements that I wanted a little more from. Wanted a little kind of not disappointing, far from disappointing, but perhaps after all the speculation and of course speaking to you so much about it, coming up with all these theories and things like this, and having those play in my mind, I think if I didn't have those playing in my mind, I probably wouldn't have minded the eventual climax of this movie
reveal
as much as I may have did.
Yes.
But
I think that's the general consensus. I think most people say they've had fun with it. Everything was well done, but the final act was the weakest part of the movie. So I think that's a general thing. So people who didn't hear my theories or, make up those thoughts also kind of felt that, like, that's the general thing that I'm hearing from people, that the movie was great, but the final act was kind of the weakest part.
Well,
which is definitely my feelings.
Let's get into spoilers now, Jeannine. Go ahead.
Well, to give my general review.
Oh yes.
Since you
I
got to. I was trying to chime in, but you were kind of, doing your
I apologize.
Sharing your thoughts. So just to kind of share my general thoughts, I really enjoyed it. I loved the brutality of Ghostface. The gore of it was a lot of fun. The action set pieces and chase set pieces were really well done, especially since we didn't get really any chases in 5. The opening call was such a great surprise. The layers of it, the surprises of it, completely different from anything we've ever seen in a Scream movie. So I really appreciated giving us something new with the opening call, which is kind of a big trademark of the franchise. I loved the core 4 unit and getting to really start to love these characters and enjoy them. Kirby's return was really well done. It was great seeing her. She was such a little badass. I think they used Gale really well and stayed true to her character from how we saw her in day 1, but really
very
kind
much
of
so, I think.
Always giving her the underlying heart that we always kind of end up seeing by the kind of end of the of the movie.
But we know full well she'll turn back around and go, I'm Gale Weathers. I'm going to infiltrate people's horrible,
I'm going to exploit this trauma,
again.
But I still have a heart in there somewhere.
No, you don't, Gale.
And
your heart died last movie, Gale.
So now she's completely ruthless all over again. So I think I loved. It took me a minute to really kind of appreciate the characterization of Gale. But I, once I saw it again, because I've seen it twice now, I appreciated, them really just staying true to who she is, but still giving her that heart that we love from her. And yes, for me, definitely the final act, the reveal was the weakest point of the movie. I mean, the trailers, this Ghostface is telling us I'm something different. And then by the end, not so different. So this movie did a lot of things different, but Ghostface putting that line out there, I'm something different, and not really being different was a bit frustrating. But I still found myself enjoying the movie. everything that worked well. The things that didn't work, I could reconcile because of how the movie, uh, uh, goes forward. So,
Yeah,
um,
almost how it got there, how it
yes,
played to get there
I
makes
enjoyed
it work.
everything that got us there. So I appreciated that. I wish the Halloween setting maybe would have been used a little bit more, but in the moments where, that was kind of the focus, it did make for some tense
It
moments.
did. It did.
Um, and I also wish we kind of got to, just as a fan, I wish we kind of would have gotten to explore the shrine a little bit more. But the set pieces that do happen there, I think are really cool. Um,
I
and
think there
use
was
it well. But just
there
as a
was a
Scream fan, I would
scene.
have loved to just walk around a little bit more and look at a little bit more.
Now
But
look, surely that's going to become an actual somewhat place, even if it's just a pop-up event type of place
well, that's
that
what
you
they
can
they
go.
had that. I did that. That was that
Yeah,
Scream experience I
but
did. We did
was it in a similar?
it was set up very similar to that. And so all of the things we see in the movie essentially, I mean, not everything was there, but
Okay,
the majority of the things were there. Um,
okay.
so yes, I it was fun getting to kind of see those things close up and remember these different things. But just for our characters to, I like that we did get moments of characters like pointing things out and really getting,
Yeah, I think we did
and
get a
having
few.
moments with things. But just as a fan, like there were so many things that we didn't really
That
focus
is
in
true.
on. So to have all those things in there, and then you're just a Scream fan looking at everything, and we don't get to like really relish in it as much as I would have liked.
And
That's just me
maybe
as
it
a
would have come
fan wanting to
across.
see more. But of course, the characters are not going to be taking the time
Yeah,
to do that. So I get that, but just as a fan, I would have loved to meander around in there a little bit more. But the set piece that does happen there is really well done. So
yeah.
yeah, those are kind of my general thoughts of the film. So now we get into
Yes,
spoiler talk.
yes.
Um
Let's do this now, because obviously Sam is having trouble
yes, so
with.
spoiler warning, spoilers for Scream 6. Yes, I do like this kind of Dexter route they're taking with Sam. She's talking to her therapist and talking about, it felt right killing Richie. It felt right doing that.
Yeah,
So she does kind of have this bloodlust, but she's able to kind of direct it in a protective aspect. She's not just wanting to kill anybody for the sake of killing anybody. You know, if she has the opportunity to take someone out that has hurt her family in an effort to protect what's hers,
defensive deaths.
yes, she just has no problem letting her bloodlust kind of take over. So I
And
like
this
that.
is a hereditary bloodlust, as of course her grandmother and father were both
Yes, and so I like the nods of them,
killers.
like this was your grandmother's mask, and like that kind of this was your
Yeah.
father's. And we do get to see her actually don Billy's whole kind of
I mean,
outfit.
yeah, they don't half make a massive point of calling Billy out to her at every given opportunity. It's just like, look
Yes,
at what your dad was. And they're
yes,
focusing on the mask, they're focusing on the knife, and it's all Billy's.
the
It's
name
just like,
plate and all of that.
and they're kind of going through because this ghost face, these ghost faces, as we can now say, these ghost faces,
Yes,
they are seemingly using everybody's previous outfits, everybody's
and
previous
masks, and
masks,
leaving the masks at
leaving
different
them,
crime scenes, at different deaths, at different Ghostface fit killings. They're
but
leaving masks.
going backwards in order. So it
Yes,
all comes, it all ends up at Billy, obviously, because
yes, it's
Billy
kind
and
of this
Sam are the are
countdown.
the are the character point of the movie. Really, it's Sam's
Yes, yeah.
relationship towards her own father.
Yes, and I think people kind of maybe get confused in terms of like, Ghost Vision Billy. Um, I hear
It's
people
a
like James
hallucination.
yes, I hear people like James A. Janine talk about not liking it because it's trying to redeem Billy. It's not trying to redeem Billy because this is not really Billy. This is Billy in her
No.
mind. So of course her mind is going to conjure this image of him who is in
Not just terrible.
no, he's in like a teammate to her. He's a support to her. He's the thing speaking to her bloodlust. So she's going to picture him in a more redeeming light, in him being kind of on her side because he's in her head. It's not the real Billy Loomis.
Yeah.
It's her version in her head. So of course he's going to be on her side and speaking to the inner kind of demons that she has. So you know, I like that aspect of it. I like that, you
I
know,
do. I don't mind that.
I don't mind. I like that, and I love that it's just a kind of interesting, cool way to bring back such an iconic character.
Yeah, that, like I said, that relationship, the Sam's relationship to her father is very interesting to me. It was in 5, but I think it's played really well here because everybody's just aware of it. Like the entire city of New York just seems so aware that Sam Carpenter lives there and is the daughter of famous serial killer Billy
Yes,
Loomis.
and also she's dealing with the trauma of these stories going around about her that she framed Amber and Richie and she actually killed
Yeah,
everybody. So she
because
is,
she's the daughter.
yes, she's under this whole character assassination, people throwing drinks at her and attacking her and believing these rumors about her being this crazy person. So I love that we're giving her that to deal with
Yeah,
on top of everything else, and that's just like, I think, another nod to speak to topical things of like cancel culture and character assassination.
yeah, that aren't, of course, always justified.
Yes, and online bullying, it speaks to kind of all those
Yeah,
underlying issues. So I liked kind of addressing those things. Um but yeah, and I think that also fleshed out the character of Sam. I think people felt like this is supposed to be replacing Sydney. This is supposed to be who we're passing Sydney, epic Sydney Prescott's torch to. And she's, you know, kind of getting outshined by her sister. She's not really maybe doing much in terms of kind of acting. I
I think
liked
she
her in the
was
first
here.
film. I liked her in the first film, but I don't think she was as strong as she is in this one. She's
No, I
definitely
would
kind of,
agree.
yes, her standing up for her friends. I love that, like, also kind of sealing the core for when, you know, she's like, Ghostface wants me. If it'll stop him from hurting you, I will sacrifice myself. I will just turn myself in if that's what it takes to just end all of this.
Yeah,
Um and so I love her kind of having that Sydney walking into the fire kind of boldness. And then I love when her kind of sinister nature kind of taps in terms of, you know, this kind of very sneaky smirk she gets on her face when she knows she has the upper hand on a ghost face, and that kind of energy. And then even that's kind of feeding into Tara as well. So I love the kind of
little bit.
team aspect that kind of happened with the two of them when it played into very much at the beginning. Tara just does not want to be this person. She wants to live a normal life. She feels suffocated by Sam. You know, Sam was gone for so long and now she's right on top of her and she just wants to be a teenager and go to college and live her life and mess up and do things. And she feels like she can't with Sam constantly watching her. So I like that. That felt very real to how their dynamic would be a year later, you know, after all those events.
Yeah,
And it's very much, you have to let me go kind of in the beginning, and then how
it
that
is.
line is turned around to a team aspect. You have to let me go so that I can help you fight, you know, this thing that's happening to us.
Yeah,
So I love kind of the turnaround of that. I love the evolution of their relationship, in terms of, you know, they were really kind of coming back together at the end of 5 to then being just a little too much and a little too suffocating for Tara. And now finding themselves back in the situation and really coming back together again by the end, and both kind of feeding into this visceral kind of violent nature, and it all feeling like it comes from a protective place, you know.
well, yeah, definitely. Even though when it gets very violent at the end of the movie, I'm talking about when Sam wearing Billy's Ghostface entire outfit,
Yeah.
using Billy's knife, brutally mutilates my caption mate here,
Yes.
Dylan McDermott Mulroney.
Yes.
It's horror. This is what I mean when I say these quick, just nasty stabs.
Well, I mean,
so
think about
quick.
Richie. She stabbed Richie 22 times, slit his throat, and shot him 3 times and in the head.
It's not. It's the next level from for example, what Sydney did to Billy.
Yes, I mean, Sydney wore that same Ghostface outfit. She put it on and she called Billy and did the voice changer and messed with him in that very same way. So it didn't feel like a goofy thing for her to do that.
No,
because we saw Sydney do it, and she's like, "You want to play these bullshit games? I can play them too." And also her just feeding into Billy in her ear and just putting that on and getting that kind of out of her system, I guess. Because I feel like there was a part of her who wanted to feel what that felt like.
I was half expecting Billy after she kills Dylan McDermott Mulroney, who I always refer to as Dylan McDermott Mulroney,
yes,
because
me too.
I always confuse him
and Dylan McDermott. Yeah.
After she kills him, I was half expecting hallucination Billy to pop up on the side as though he's Anakin Skywalker, Force Ghost, and just give a thumbs
give
up.
her a nod again, like he kind of did in the car window.
He did.
Yeah, he gave the little nod. But yes, just to kind of, since we're in that little area of conversation, the reveal being the weakest part. This Ghostface, as I said, I'm something different.
No,
when you end up just being the same family revenge shit that we got in Scream 2.
Because you are the family of Richie.
Yes, you are Richie's father,
family.
Richie's brother, Richie's sister. So, I mean, it is
unclear, actually. It is unclear as to whether Dylan McDermott Mulroney was
actually a ghost face. So do we have 3 new ghost faces or 2 and a mastermind? Which I'm assuming, since we only see the 2 in the outfits, they are the 2 and a mastermind. So that's the one thing that makes it different.
Yeah.
Is we have a whole family and we have 2 and a kind of a ringleader. So it's like we have Billy and Stu and Roman, like that's what we would have gotten.
Kind of.
Yes.
Kind of, yeah. It's interesting though, because obviously Dermot Mulroney is with our characters the entire movie. I don't think this is where I think the mystery plays really well, because I mean, I'm not one to guess about mystery movies anyway, but I was absolutely I had no intention of believing it was Dermot Mulroney was behind it. He was just a police officer who was helping them.
Me, okay, so before, when I watched the trailer for the first time, Jader Paramo, he's like my Scream buddy. We gush over this franchise. Him and me could talk about it all day. He's like 6 a.m. He sends me the trailer. I watch it, and we're just going off about it and our theories and everything. Once we saw that shrine, we both were like, Dylan McDermott's a cop. Or your thing's messing me up. Dylan McDermott Mulroney is a cop. So obviously he would have access to all this evidence. So there's a potential of him being involved. When I watched the movie for the first time, there was something weird about his crying after Quinn was killed that felt very fake to me, like Madonna. Like it felt
maybe I'll have to watch again.
Fake to me. And I said to who I was watching it with, I said, Quinn had to fake her death. That seemed like some fake crocodile tears. I literally said that. Half serious that Quinn faked her death, because we've already seen a faked death twice. Billy did it and Roman did it. So we've seen faked deaths before. So I kind of, when he had his fake when he put his hand to his face, something about it just felt like that. It felt fake.
The thing is, I never know what to think, because the Scream movies do take themselves seriously, but don't take themselves seriously. So whether it's, there's comedic elements, there's genuine comedy,
yes,
and meta humor in Scream movies, while being seriously genuine slashers. So it's tough sometimes to recognize almost what's trying to be played a little bit cheesy or genuine sometimes.
Yes. And
so maybe I'm just not registering that.
I don't know.
If
Just
it was
for me,
so obvious that Dermot Mulroney was the leader of these Ghostface, if it was obvious to you, then I apologize for being a simpleton.
It wasn't obvious. It was just something about his tears after Quinn was dead felt phony to me, and it had me question. And the fact that like she was kind of part of the core, but we didn't see her death. We didn't see her get killed. We just saw her kind of stumble out already dead.
Yeah.
And there was a focus on really kind of showing the kills and showing the stabbings and showing the gore.
Yeah.
And we didn't really get that with her. And then his fake looking like I don't know, something about the way he acted in that moment felt false to me. And I said, I kind of think maybe that girl's probably faking her death. And I really said it like half serious. But then once we kind of got into it a little bit more and he was kind of working with them, it turned me a little bit like maybe not. And then
he was seemingly obviously
always and then my mind
there,
was
because he was always there.
Yes.
He was very, he saw ghost faces.
Yes.
He was very, very involved, very, likable, really.
Yes, and really like
friendly
he cared
to
but
all our characters.
Yes, but then you also see in that moment with my daughter, he looks right at Sam and says, "If you fuck with my family, you are dead." And he said, "You." When he was taught and looked at Sam in that moment,
but he wasn't talking about.
But he was. He actually was.
Well, he was. Yes, he was. But I suppose
so, exactly.
Yes,
that's what I'm saying. So. You could read it as general, but once you see the reveal, he was talking straight to her. Yeah. And but also my mind was caught up on the I'm something different. And one of my theories was, or one of my hopes was, they've never had the Ghostface be a returning character. So if it were to be Kirby, that would be a cool thing that the franchise has never done. So then I kind of
totally,
and Kirby's a FBI. So again, the cop having access to the shrine elements. So that kind of was throwing me off as well. So I did already have in my mind Dylan McDermott Mulroney, Quinn potentially faking her death, but then focusing on I'm something different. So I feel like maybe this is what I had hoped, that returning character is a Ghostface, something we've never seen before.
I mean, when the fake out Ghostface reveal comes, and it's definitely Kirby, and everybody's like, oh yeah, it's Kirby, it's definitely Kirby, watch out for Kirby. It's not Kirby, but I was like, yes, I like this. This is good.
Yes, right? When he calls and says, no, she was fired from the force, I kind of was he had me believe in it. So he saved me with that after my daughter. He saved me with that line delivery later.
It makes sense from the getting all the evidence standpoint that we see obviously in the shrine, that we are told, earlier on in the movie, that somebody would need to have police connections to get this. We are actually physically told that in the movie. Somebody would need to have police connections to get all this evidence and to create such an impressive looking shrine.
Yes.
With all this stuff. So it made sense on that front. It made sense on the I'm something different front because of this. We've never had a Ghostface who we've been introduced to in a previous movie.
Yeah.
And it's something that I think I've wanted to see is a previous character whose trauma has become too much for them, and they snap. And that's seemingly for 2 minutes what they were implying
with Kirby. Yes.
So I was like, yes, I like this. And then it did just
turned into the same thing. Our killer is somebody brand new we're being introduced to in that movie. That's who the killer is. It's a revenge Mrs. Loomis type situation. Yeah. So that is not something different. The only thing that makes it different is it's a family and there's a mastermind into Ghostface. That's the only. But in terms of the motive, in terms of it being a brand new character, in terms of the revenge aspect, it's all things we've seen before. So that made it a bit disappointing. And I think especially Jack Champion, there's always one Ghostface who tries to invoke the stew mania, and they don't quite meet
Yeah,
meet the you know the assignment. I think the only one who ever got the closest to stew mania was Mickey.
Yes, Timothy Oliphant.
Everyone else felt their kind of manic craziness always felt a little bit hollow to me.
Ambers.
Yes. Trying to be spitty.
Coming at you like some sort of she's like Helena Marcos from Suspiria almost at the end of that movie. She's holding the knife up here like this and like
yes, and trying to be spitty and and like that kind of thing,
like
and
cackling. That's what I mean. It's Helena Marcos from Suspiria.
So I feel like Jack Champion was trying to do that a little bit.
He was,
and Quinn was more calculated, like a Billy. And even Dylan McDermott, Mulroney, he was like the middle. He was like the Roman middle ground of kind of manic, petulant, very frustration.
Very petulant.
Very much like Roman, kind of like whiny frustration. Like when Sam was talking about, talking all that shit about Richie, and he was like, he was a young virile man. All of
Who
that.
says that about their own son? He was virile.
Like all of that just felt very kind of silly to me.
What are you talking about?
So yes,
silly in a good way. Silly in a good way, because we need to remember that these movies should have silliness in them.
Yes,
should be.
So while the reveal felt very weak and very kind of frustrated in terms of I'm something different and not being anything different, what got us there ultimately was great. So I could sit in this moment and take it for what it was. And the set piece kind of running around in there using using Kenny's camera and the Stew TV, to help kind of fight off,
Was it Jack Champion, the brother who gets killed by Stew's TV again?
Yes.
Was it him?
So he does get stabbed. So it's when, Jenna Ortega's like, let me go. She drops down on him. He stabs her. She ends up stabbing him through the mouth and has this brutal kind of like, yes. And then, but he still comes back, and Kirby throws the TV at him and has a great one-liner. I saw that in a movie once. So I mean, while the reveal was very much something we've seen before, what got us there, just living in that moment for what it was, I found enjoyment in it.
I will say I appreciated Dylan McDermott Mulroney for really, really getting involved in his own son's collecting hobby.
Yes, like, the fact that like this meant something to his son, so I want to help him.
So here is the single most impressive collection you could possibly put together
of police evidence that people just don't know or care where it went. So yes, the finale, weakest part of the whole movie, but ultimately
understand
what got us there. You're able to kind of just sit in it and take it for what it is and enjoy it, because you're really excited about these characters and what's going on and how we got there. So well,
let's talk a little bit about Gale before we start to wrap
so up. It took me a minute to really, like, it took me the second watch to really kind of just embrace that I like what they did with Gale. It was a little bit frustrating because, I just watched 5 and saw how hard the Dewey loss was. Her talking about, fuck these killers, I'm not going to talk about them, I'm going to write a book about Dewey, only for her to write a book about what happened and turn her whole like thing on that. And I'm like,
God damn it, Gale.
Yeah, exactly. So like, for Dewey's sake, like, that made me mad. That made me frustrated with the character.
Yeah.
But then you just kind of have to go back and realize she's done this in every movie. She
has done this in every single movie.
Yes.
There was she gave a whole lecture that you corrected me in. It was in Scream 3 about I'm an investigative journalist. Here's how to be an investigative journalist.
Yes. Step on whoever basically, you got to step on to get your story.
Step on everyone else. It's all about you. It doesn't matter what you do as long as you get the story. And it's just like, well, that's clearly just Gale's mentality.
Exactly.
And that's always been Gale's mentality. What 5 did was try and trick us. 5 tried and tried to trick us in thinking that she had a heart when Dewey was actually her entire heart.
Yes, and now that he's gone, so it's easy for her. But then they do enough to redeem her, so you still love that character. So her really kind of having conversations of Sam with Sam about creating your own family and sticking together. And oh my gosh, broke my heart when like you can make your own family even if it's with one person. And then Sam says, well, what if you lose that one person? And then you hear the Dewey theme, the Dewey broken arrow. Yes. That was just seriously, that was sad.
Yeah.
Now you sound like Dylan McDermott Mulroney crying over his daughter.
Sorry about
it. But no, that got me when they, what if you lose that one person and then we hear the Dewey music. But yeah, they gave enough to redeem her that shows like, obviously, yes, it's important to her to be successful at her job. She has that drive that's never going to leave her to get the scoop, to get the story, to be on top in that aspect, to be the first on the scene.
She can be useful in protecting people, but she does somewhere have a heart.
Yes, and so she does have a heart. She does care for these girls. She wants to make sure she does care about Sydney. I like the mentioning of just Sydney, because if you think about 5, Sydney had no intention of even coming back to Woodsboro. The only reason she came back was because Dewey died. Had Dewey not died, those events would have played out without her.
Yeah.
So she had no intention of jumping back into the flames of Scream 5. But it was only to be there for Gail, only to be there because Dewey was gone was the reason she came back. So it worked into making sense that she wouldn't be here. She deserves her happy ending. She's not getting involved. She's safe somewhere with Mark and the kids. Like, I like that at least they didn't just completely ignore her. They mentioned her. And I appreciated that. And then going into Gail getting her first ever Ghostface phone call. That whole set piece I think was really cool. It was very much... Yeah. Gail, really smart, really such a badass, a fighter. And as my caption says, Gail likes chocolate men. Her and Martha Meeks must have been in the chocolate men dating sites, looking for mans.
He's a very pretty gentleman as well, I must say.
Yes.
And I love that. Killed, but...
I love that Ghostface is like, oh, all those muscles couldn't help him, and Gail is like agrees. Ghostface is like, she's like, yeah, that's for sure. And I love her just being fed up with him. She's like, can you he's talking to her, and she like hangs up on him and then redials to find out where he is. So I loved like her being so smart with that. Like Ghostface is just going on and on and on, and then she hangs up on him, and he's like, what? And then she redials to find out where he is. And her just fighting back and throwing things and kicking. And I loved that whole kind of set piece of it. And, seeing the guy get grabbed in the background, her, having the gun, and just it felt very much like the end of Scream 5 with Sydney just shooting through doors, not caring. Ghostface trying to be on the phone with her. And she's like, this is dumb. And hangs up on him before he can finish his sentence. Them just being very much fed up with this nonsense and just really fighting,
And it seems like she's almost turned into Dewey now, because she gets pretty brutally stabbed, but is alive by the end of the movie.
I mean, everybody is. I mean, Chad
alive.
Chad has established himself as the new Dewey, because this is now movie 2. Same with Dewey. Dewey, was seemingly dead in the first, and then we have the stretcher. He survived. End of Scream 2. We assume he's dead. Stretcher, he survived. So Chad is the new Dewey in that aspect.
I like Chad. I like Chad a lot, but my God, he got brutalized.
Yes, by 2 and 1. So I don't know how the hell he survived it, which they say that. They're like, oh, how did you survive?
Because it's making fun of the fact it's a franchise movie that now can't kill off its core characters.
Holds four fingers as the core 4, which I think is really cute. Yes. I really liked his kind of romance with Tara. I thought it was really sweet and cute, and the kind of shyness of the development of that.
Mindy's great as well. I mean, she's actually kind of way less annoying than Randall.
Yes, she was just so mean kind of in the first one, and a little bit cold and kind of a smart ass. I like her still being a smart ass.
Sorry, I mean, I don't mean in the previous movie. I mean than Randy. She's way less annoying than her own uncle.
No, I loved Randy. Like, I was heartbroken
Randy's
when Randy
great, of
died.
course he is. Yeah, Randy's great.
But no, she was very kind of just a smart ass in the first one. Like when we first see our friend group kind of having their fountain scene,
Yeah,
which is not at a fountain, but their fountain adjacent scene. And she's just very coldly talking about Tara's attack and well, Tara could still die. Like just very kind of cold about it. It
it's
just felt
played more for comedy in this movie, and I think it works.
yes. But then there's also some heart there, Chad kind of being cheesy about things and her kind of playing along with him when he wants to do the core 4 high five and having their sweet twin moments and I love the moment when before Sam kind of suggests just giving herself up and them all just kind of she's like I'm tired of getting hurt, I don't want to get hurt anymore, and them all kind of just leaning on each other, Chad leaning his shoulder on her and Tara leaning on her, and them and them really having some fun twin moments and really some really nice moments where you really felt like they cared about each other. So because we didn't really get a lot of those dynamics, we didn't even really get to see Chad and Mindy's friendship with Tara because she was kind of stuck in the hospital the whole time. So getting to kind of see this friendship really how it should have been, because we didn't really get to see them together in 5, it was nice to see it kind of developed here. So yeah, I think that was a big favorite of mine, getting to see this kind of core 4 be our new kind of core 3 of Gail, Sydney, and Dewey.
It's really a great deal to enjoy.
Yes, and I definitely want to see more of them, and I think that's probably why Chad survived, because I definitely want more. And I know when I saw him die, I was like, no, he's too fine. He's too fine. So yes, I think we can probably get into the opening. I don't think that was a big...
No, we haven't, have we? God, this is going to go on for a long time.
No, just so much to say.
Yeah, let's talk about the opening, because I don't want to overstay our review here, bore people to tears. But the opening, yes, it's wonderful. This is our Samara Weaving situation. She's in that bar. She gets the text. And it's all done on a dating app.
I don't ever think I've seen her use her accent.
No, she's actually going for the Australian.
Yeah,
which is nice, I suppose. No, it's a really well staged opening. Yes. It's a typically staged opening, but they throw in the differences there. It's not at it's not at home or the safety of somebody's home.
It's a public place.
But
you're in this big
think
city.
Of one that isn't at somebody's home or residence? It's always at somebody's home or residence, right?
No.
Is it not?
Scream 2. Scream 2. Public ass theater. That
Jada
Pinkett kill is
of course.
So amazing. It's that getting killed in plain sight, but because the rowdiness of what's happening in that theater, nobody notices, and she's just getting killed in front of all of these people. So very similar to that in using the city, the busyness of the city, it being like Halloween weekend. So just the rowdiness of the streets, people in costumes. So yeah, she's in this restaurant, she's waiting for her online date. We see the picture of the person she thinks she's meeting, and we hear the voice, and we know it's Tony Revolori's voice. So it's very much, we already know something's kind of off with this.
Yeah.
Because the picture we see is not Tony Revolori.
Very clearly not Tony Revolori.
Yes. And I like her kind of on the phone, like saying things she thinks is dumb and just making faces like, God, I'm such an idiot. Why did I just say that? Because it's very relatable, I think, for women in the dating scene too. Like, new conversations with new people you're dating and you feel dumb for things you're saying or whatever. So I liked, that's what Scream does really well also, is characters who we're probably not going to sit with very long are given a personality. Given character. So I liked that they gave her kind of a little bit of a personality before we're gonna lose her.
Yeah, I like that she's a film professor. I
Yes,
mean, it
who
turns
teaches
out that obviously,
slashers.
yeah,
Yes.
Tony Revolori and Tony Revolori's roommate are her students, and I mean their apartment when we get after you know
Yeah.
we finish with this first kill and we go to their apartment where the actual real ghost face kills
Yes,
them
and
two
we
who are
kind of
just
get there.
pretending.
Yes. So that's the crazy thing about it. So he lures her outside. He's like, "Oh, there's an alleyway down there. I think I see you." And he gets her to kind of go in this alley, and then he comes out and kills her, and he's just stabbing her.
Turns the voice on and just goes,
yes.
"Wait, you teach slashers?"
And then
you
think the
just
last
walked into an alley.
Yeah, and I got you to walk into this abandoned alley. And right as like that final slash he does, you think, okay, opening credits, right?
You do,
But
yes,
no.
you do.
But no, he crouches down and he takes the mask off, and we see that it's Tony Revolori, and we're like, wait, what? A ghost face reveal already? What is happening? It's Halloween time.
This entire movie is us knowing who Ghostface is?
Yes.
That
What
would
if?
be
Yeah, that
something
would
very
be
different.
so different and crazy. So, like already, I'm just kind of like, wait, what's happening here? This is really cool. I'm really interested. You've got me. He tucks his stuff away. He walks away just fine. And then we see him, hey, Tara. So now we know he's integrated with our characters. He knows them. He can just kill this person and be very just kind of casual. He walks back into the apartment, goes to his apartment. He puts the mask back like nothing. We see he has the stabbed shrine and different masks and all of this.
He also has some very obnoxious posters in his room,
yes, and I think they do kind of talk about he's obsessed with Giallo and that whole kind of thing.
He might very well be obsessed with Giallo. I don't think there's anything wrong with liking Giallo movies.
No, but he said like she gave him a C on his Giallo paper or whatever, and he's like, so that's why you killed her, because she gave you a C. So he gets a call from his roommate who he has been planning, because it seemed they've been plotting to. They knew Richie, and so they were kind of like, Richie died, we have to continue his vision, because they knew him from the subreddit and all of that, whatever.
Yeah.
So we have to continue his movie, and I wanted to get some practice in, so that's why I went and killed the professor. So and also just seeing kind of this sick scene of him like being very sociopathic and describing it like, the more I stabbed her, she felt like meat. It felt like she was nothing. And and he was just kind of relishing in it and just kind of looking off into space and kind of like creepily twirling his fingers and just really just on another level, just really loving the fact that she didn't feel human to him after a certain point of stabbing her. And so really just like tapping into the sickness of this character was just really kind of like just having this sociopathic character right off the bat, like very well played, very kind of unsettling.
This is what I mean. This is what I mean. This would have, had Revolori been our ghost face, it would have felt very, very different. Would have been such an insight, seemingly throughout the movie, that into our ghost face, a very different style movie. I don't think they couldn't go in that direction in the future. In the future movies, I think they could do something like this. What it does speak to is Revolori should play sociopaths.
Yeah, because that was really unnerving. Listening to him just talk so casually about it. So he's talking to who he thinks is his roommate, who he has plotted these things with, and they're also plotting to finish Richie's job and kill Tara and Sam.
Yeah.
So, he's gotten a nod from Tara. They're going to be at this certain party. So they're like, yes, we can get them tonight. And so he thinks he's talking to, I think Henry is the name of his roommate. And Henry
Greg.
Greg? Why do I think Henry? I don't know.
I thought it was Greg. I don't know.
Maybe you're right. I don't remember. But his roommate he thinks it's just him using the voice changer, the Ghostface voice. And so then he's kind of messing with him a little bit, and then he's kind of maybe thinking it's not him, but he's putting on this hot and cold game with you. He's like, if you answer my question, if you play this game, I'll tell you where I am. Because he's like, well, where
Which
are
is
you?
all very nice. We like games,
and he
Ghostface
keeps
games, don't we?
He keeps saying, I'm right here. And so he's like, okay, so let's play this hot and cold game. So you're getting warmer, you're getting colder as he moves through the apartment trying to find him. And then he gets to the fridge and he says, you're on fire, you're burning hot. He opens the fridge and we have roommate's dismembered body in the fridge, very much feeling like, Mrs. Voorhees' head in the fridge in Friday the 13th Part 2. And something like that we've never seen in a Scream movie, dismembered body parts in the fridge, which just takes me back to Mindy talking about beheadings. And then when one of the heads gets knocked off the mannequin in the end, Chad is like, beheadings. He just shouts beheadings.
He does.
Obviously in a very serious moment we get a comedic thing like that. So that's just what but yes, like crazy.
And then really good opening.
Yes, and then we turn around and we see our Ghostface and obviously stabs him, and then he's like, well, what about the movies? And the Ghostface is like, who gives a fuck about the movies? And that's when we get our
that's your opening title.
So it's cool. So well done. So many layers to it, so many twists to it, so many unsettling aspects, and it actually felt very tense and scary.
Very
loved
absolutely. I did just want to mention again, just the obnoxious film bro posters that they have in their apartment. It just makes me hate people. And look, I'm, as we all know, as much of a Fritz Lang fan as the next man. His noir movies are excellent, but to have a big Maxi Metropolis poster is vomit-inducing.
Did you think they were very pretentious?
Yes,
posters?
I don't like them. Enjoy movies without being so
pretentious.
I'm better than you about it. Yes. You know what I mean?
Yes. So I think that was probably the point.
Of course it was the point. Of course it was.
But yes.
Oh God, did it just annoy me. Why is Revelori always this? I'm sure Revelori's Flash Thompson's this, isn't he? He's like, I know all these fancy movies. I'm almost certain that's exactly what he is.
Maybe. But yes, just an amazing opening. Just to speak quickly about Kirby coming back. I liked her return. I liked how they brought her back into the story. It made sense that, and then even her kind of explaining her story to Tara and having that moment with her, explaining to her, I died for 4 minutes and I could either go hide in a hole or I could, make the monsters afraid of me. And it really much felt like a Sydney attitude. Like, I'm not going to let this define my life. I'm going to be come out stronger from this. And her really just giving words of wisdom, her really kind of reminding them that they're part of this like fucked up family. So loved her addition, loved her coming back, loved her having this horror film geek moment with Mindy, because they're kind of our Randys in the way of just really being knowledgeable about the genre, and love seeing Kirby still having that, and them kind of having that back and forth in that moment. I think was really cool.
Shout out to Candyman.
Yes. One thing that I will just say is pissing me the hell off.
Ooh.
Stop fucking teasing Stu Macher if you're not going to do anything with that. Stop it. Just stop.
Yes.
If 7 isn't going to like be Kevin Williamson's kind of original idea for Scream 3 based around Stu, then stop fucking talking about him. Don't tease little videos of, is Stu Macher still alive? Don't make Tara's answer incorrect because she didn't mention Stu Macher. Don't have a mention of Stu Macher's sister and Stu Macher's fucking house and Stu Macher's nephew, and have Quinn talk about Stu Macher being her favorite killer, and have Mindy say, if you believe he's dead, if you're not going to do anything with any of that, because it is so frustrating. Stop teasing Stu if you are not going to use Stu. So if I do not see Stu in this next movie, I'm gonna be twitching a little bit.
Jeannine, your rage has just caused your own connection to falter slightly on the show. It
I'm
was so
sorry.
intense.
Did you miss
I
anything I
don't
said?
disagree.
Do I need to
No.
repeat any of that?
No. I do not disagree. I do not disagree at all.
Just
They
stop.
do
Just
call far too much attention to him without doing anything.
Exactly.
They do. But for fear of this becoming truly phenomenally long,
Yes.
which that's a pretty lengthy discussion on Scream 6.
It is. It very much
It
is.
has to be said. And we do have a little game to play.
Yes.
To round out our show today. But there we go. Our full spoiler review of Scream 6. It's the one you've been waiting for, I think, for all Jeannine's build-up throughout the last few months.
And still more videos
Scream
to come.
6.
I have my Scream 5 review and my killer rankings. I'll give my rankings without the Scream 6 killers and with the Scream 6 killers. So
okay, well,
yeah.
there you go. But yes, let's play some fun and games quickly, Jeannine, because you last week had a little game for me.
Yes.
It was our kind of movie character caricature game.
Yes.
And we enjoyed that, but it wasn't really conducive to the audio listeners, unfortunately.
Sorry.
It was a fun game. It was a very, very fun game. Today, I have for you, because this is how we're doing games at the moment, is we're just giving each other a game rather than both playing it. I have for you a bad movie descriptions game.
Ooh,
so
okay.
I have 6 in front of me. These are terrible descriptions of movies.
Okay.
And you are to guess the movie from this terrible description of the movie.
Okay.
They're all known, there's nothing, there's no small, weird little movies in here.
Okay.
So they're all sizable
well-known
movies, fairly well-known movies.
Okay. I'm not good at things like this, but I'll give it a go.
But yes, okay. So, the first one, a broke man commits identity fraud so he can manipulate a group of school children.
Oh, is this School of Rock?
It is School of Rock. That is the plot to School of Rock. What a very sinister sounding plot,
right?
That is.
Sounds very bad.
But it's true. It's very, very true. Okay.
Oh, I got all
a girl,
sweaty, raging.
Sweaty, raging about Stu Macker. Number 2. A girl takes a chicken on a boat trip.
Is this Moana?
It is Moana, yes. It is Moana. A man is forced to participate in the rescue of a hostage by the government. That government has turned his residence into a refugee camp. I will repeat that one. A man is forced to participate in the rescue of a hostage by the government that has turned his residence into a refugee camp. This one's my favourite, actually.
Ooh, and it's probably like a really obvious one.
When I say a man, don't necessarily think of a human. I really like this one. It fits so well. I really do. It's funny. No? Ooh. Ooh.
So I'm like, is this like a movie where somebody's like housing some aliens or something?
No, it's not aliens. It's not aliens. No.
Ooh, a dog needs
it's not aliens.
Okay, yeah, no, I give up.
It's Shrek.
Oh, yes. Hostage, yes. Refugee camp, yes. Obviously, it's your favorite.
That's so good.
I mean, could you do trivia on Shrek?
I'd give that a good go. Shrek 1, definitely. 1 and 2, yeah. 3 and 4. 3 and 4.
Yeah.
But 1 and 2, definitely. Okay. A troubled man helps a group of teens believe in their dreams.
A troubled man?
I know this is vague, but I do like this one as well. A troubled man helps a group of teens believe in their dreams.
Is that like a play on words?
No, just think about it from a comedically blunt, kind of comedically vague standpoint that all these are at.
A troubled man helps a group of teens believe in their dreams.
It's not a sports movie, let's just say.
No, like it feels very generic, but I feel like, once I hear it, it's gonna like make a lot more sense.
Yeah.
Is it A Nightmare on Elm Street?
It is A Nightmare on Elm Street. Yes.
I love that. That's great.
Yes. A whip-wielding vigilante with a death wish confronts 2 feuding orphans, all wearing animal costumes. I like this one as well, I do. A whip-wielding vigilante with a death wish confronts 2 feuding orphans, all wearing animal costumes.
Who else has a whip besides Indiana Jones?
It's not Indiana Jones. I do like this one as well. This is the Shrek one.
You read it again.
A whip-wielding vigilante with a death wish confronts 2 feuding orphans, all wearing animal costumes. Ooh. Stumped.
I know.
I found a game type that stumps Jeannine. I'm so pleased.
Something in my mind is like making me think this thing, but there's obviously elements that don't work.
Okay, go.
No, it's definitely not this, because there's elements in here that aren't in the description. But for whatever reason, animal costumes. Oh no, feeding orphans. I don't know. My mind kept thinking siblings instead of orphans. No, I'm not. That's
okay.
Not it at all. No.
What were you thinking then? If
I don't know.
Siblings.
I think the Wizard of Oz.
A whip? Who has a whip?
That's why I'm like,
the
no
wizard.
Whip. But I mean,
there's no
you
whip.
have your flying monkeys. You have your cowardly lion.
Okay, yeah.
The Wicked Witch and Glinda the Good
siblings,
Witch
feuding. Okay,
she's kind of stuck in the middle.
Okay. No, it's a much darker movie.
No.
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 I'm surprised. It's one of your favorite movies. It's Batman Returns.
What? Oh yes. Orphans. Yes. Yeah.
It's Batman Returns. And lastly, a drug-crazed lunatic slowly kills children in front of their parents, one by one.
What?
Yeah, a drug-crazed lunatic slowly kills children in front of their parents, one by one. Again, I know this is somewhat vague, but I think it's very, very funny.
That's terrible if it's funny.
It is terrible, yes.
Kills children in front of their... Ah! It's Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory.
It is Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. Yes.
Oh, that's great.
Oh, there we go. Well done.
Yes.
Well done. Did you get 4 of 6 then, I think?
I think so.
You didn't get Batman Returns and you didn't get Shrek.
Shrek,
did you?
yes.
Shrek. There we go. Yes,
well, I do have one thing.
Oh, one thing.
I probably should have said in our Scream review section, because I don't know if anyone's going to be watching this long. But I did go to the Scream when I saw Scream 6. I did go to the 3D fan event. So I saw the movie in 4DX, and they gave out fun posters. I think I've seen most people online who have seen it went to the same thing and got the posters, but I have 2 of them. So if you did not get a cool Scream 6 poster, this poster right here.
Ooh. It is a very nice poster. It's a big ghost face, big knife,
Yes.
Times Square.
Yes. If you can leave in the comments what Josh Segarra, is that his name?
Yes.
Of She-Hulk. What if you can tell me what his nickname is that he is given in Scream 6? You will get this poster. I will send it to you.
Okay, there you go. There you go. We will put that out there. We will put that out there for people who may not be watching right at the very end of today's show. We will also mention it in a couple of other things, I think, as well.
Okay.
Just to do that. That's fun. Giveaways, how exciting. But there we go for a nice long episode of Monday Madness today, dominated by our Scream 6 review. Monday Madness is, of course, not the only thing we have on this YouTube channel. We have a bunch of other stuff, from Morgan's movie collection, apologies, to all of Jeannine's Scream 6 build-up stuff. If you want to keep going on the Scream train, we have movie reviews, we have retro trailer reactions that we really do need to start up again.
Back into, yeah.
A couple of watch-alongs every so often. Fun stuff on the YouTube channel. Subscribe, ding your notification bells here, or of course on the It's Wonderful podcast feed, all major podcast platforms. You can find this show every Monday, Morgan Hasn't Seen every Wednesday, where we're talking fighting movies all March long in honor of Creed 3.
Yes.
And the main show, It's a Wonderful Podcast, every Friday, where we celebrate old movies. We show love to them. We discover new old movies. Last Friday was 1947's Body and Soul with John Garfield.
Yes.
That was a really,
a good one.
intensely good movie. Not
Yes.
not the happiest movie of all time, but
but
a very, very good movie. And we always enjoy discovering new old movies over on the main show. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, we have you covered on the It's a Wonderful Podcast feed, like we said, on all major podcast platforms. You can, if you would like to support us on Patreon or donate in any such way, there has been scrolling down at the bottom of the screen, if you are watching on YouTube throughout the show. The links to the Patreon and donation are in the description as well. If you would like to support us that way, because we can't do what we do without that generous support. And we love all our It's a Wonderful Podcast patrons dearly. So if you want to join, head on over there, or just find the show on Twitter at It's a Wonderful One. Find me on Twitter at The Purple Don with a 3 instead of the E in there, because, Jeannine,
3 is the magic number.
Or on Instagram at just The Purple Don. TikTok as well at The Purple Don. Instagram and TikTok there. Jeannine, all your ghosty, facey, screamy, stabby stuff is where?
You can find me at Jeannine Devine _ on Twitter, Jeannine Devine on Instagram and TikTok. If you want to get any merch for any of our shows, you can see the link scrolling on by, or check the description for the link to our Teespring shop, or just search It's Wonderful Podcast on teespring.com. There's some really fun designs over there. I may put my ghost face, We All Scream for Ice Cream design up in there. And I also have a ghost face with taco, which I like to call that design Wes Cravings. So I will put those 2 designs up there as well. But right now we have all kinds of show logo designs, including some fun Stranger Things designs. So yes, check out our merch shop for merch. And if you want to purchase any of my art in print form, you can find that at my Big Cartel shop, g9design.bigcartel.com.
There we go. I know you don't like doing it because you don't think you can do it. No, but I need a ghost face voice.
I cannot be Roger, the amazing Roger L. Jackson. I'm sorry.
I know. But you did such a good impression of Edward G. Robinson on last Friday's opening shot.
Fluke. That was a fluke.
It was a fluke, yes, but I just think it's gonna have to be appropriate for today.
Okay. 3, 2, 1. I don't know what that was. It sounded like an evil troll.
It did sound a little bit like an evil troll. Boom.